I'm Lisa Taylor, president of Challenge Factory. Hidden Talent is a Challenge Factory podcast. Challenge Factory is grateful for the support of Veterans Affairs Canada through the Veteran and Family Wellbeing Fund.
Challenge Factory believes you should meet the changing world of work head on and take control of your future. Is your business prepared for the future of work? Well, this podcast series, along with the Challenge Factory Masterclass in Hiring and our Canadian Guide to Hiring Veterans, will help you do just that. Enjoy the show.
From introductions to identity and landing a job interview, there's a critical component to unearthing hidden talent that we need to address, and that's education and experience. What do those two things even mean? I'm Erin Trafford, and in this episode, we'll look into how a veteran can bridge that gap between his or her experience in the military and the civilian understanding of an education or a degree. For example, Chris Stoyles spent more than a decade serving in the military, engaging in complex operations, logistics, and planning. Extremely specialized skills that require a great deal of in-depth training, knowledge, and experience.
I mean, my resume, I had, very little education and just the military experience.
It's not that veterans don't have an education. It's simply that it doesn't look the way a civilian education might look.
The big thing that military members don't have confidence in is that they confuse education with intelligence. So they think that, this guy, this HR manager that's interviewing me, she's got a master's at some university. Wow, she's got a degree somewhere. So for some reason in the military, we just put them above us because we think that they're smarter than us. They must know more than us.
President of Challenge Factory, Lisa Taylor, explains this is a clear case of miscommunication.
That concept of who's educated and how education means intelligence as opposed to, I'm in the military and I'm being trained to do my job. That disconnect is such an interesting misperception that they have about their own skills and ability. So when they share what their education is, they'll often say, I don't have an education. They leave an impression that you're hiring someone who's 34 who stopped their education in grade 12. That's not true.
But place Chris's 10 years of military service on a traditional resume or into the education field on an online form filler, and there's a clear disconnect for both the employer and the veteran candidate.
I think that I sold myself short. I think maybe I started off a lot lower than what I should have, but I just didn't think that I had the middle management values or the middle management experience that I actually did have, because I was managing people within the military. I was managing logistics. I was doing all these things, but I just didn't think that translated to the real world.
And yet on the small business employer side, that typical understanding of education, a master's degree, a special diploma, for example, seems to matter a lot less than can you succeed in this position? And are your skills and personality a fit for the organization? Sarah Dunkley hires for her two businesses often and says it's rarely about education per se.
I guess the two questions we're trying to answer are, does this person's personality, do we think this person's personality is a fit for the role that we want to put them in and for our organization? And do we think they have the main skills and ability to tackle the most important aspects of their job?
And yet, as there tends to be, there's another layer to how the perception and communication around education and experience plays out for veterans like Chris, who are transitioning into new roles. Lisa says it comes back to this notion of identity and the veteran's confidence with translating their skills in an interview or employment setting.
Because that training doesn't come from institutions that have university or college at the end of their name, because it just comes through doing the work and in fact is worked into their workday and is their job, it's their job to gain education and to train. they don't see it as formal education. They don't see it as the same type of learning that you and I would get if we went to college for a certificate or diploma program or pursued a degree in university. But in fact, the equivalency of what they have learned and gotten is the equivalent in many, many cases of, if not certificates, diplomas and degrees, including in some cases, master's degrees. They come out, and if they actually were to compare coursework by coursework, time by time, they're incredibly educated.
Now, remember, when Chris transitioned from the military in 2006, he didn't know how to start looking for work. And he says that issue of confidence was front and center for him in those early days of his search.
It's so interesting, coming from special forces to the civilian world. You go around, and before I left, we had this intercompany competition where we had 120 guys. We did this whole day long, basically testing all the knowledge and the skills and stuff that you had, and I placed 4th out of 120 guys. And so I go from that guy to a guy who has no confidence, doesn't think, and again, it goes back to the education with intelligence, thinking that because I'm not well educated, I'm not going to get a job. Therefore, I've got to kind of take whatever comes to me next, kind of figure out, okay, what can I do? Oh, construction seems like I should be able to fit.
That's right. Recall, Chris ended up with a great job in the construction industry, which Lisa says is an example of a situation where a veteran's skills were valued and then properly leveraged by an employer.
What he saw was that he has skills and conditions that he's able to work within, that he has built tools and capabilities to be able to withstand, and that he can offer in service to other organizations that they will find valuable. So for him, it's a point of pride to be able to know that he can do something that is not for everybody, but it's a way for him to be in service.
But Chris is just one Canadian veteran. Thousands more transition into the workforce each year, and not all of them have the same experience with landing a job they love. Chris says veterans often end up settling for jobs that aren't fulfilling or taking jobs simply for sake of a paycheck.
Absolutely. I think that, you're just going through the motions every day for something that's not fulfilling, for the simple fact for monetary gain. There's no other you're not getting anything out of this actual role other than the monetary gain that you get to provide for your family.
Lisa Taylor says it might make more sense for veterans to ask themselves, not so much, can I do this work, but rather, what skills do I have that could help this company?
That takes some education on the veteran side for how to better present what it is that they do in the context of how it can help a civilian organization, and some education for the employer to know what to listen for. And what's a better question to ask than the traditional ways that we go about unearthing what someone's done in the past or what skills they have?
So is this the connection between the veterans' often vast and specialized skill set and the needs and wants of the employers when it comes to experience? Can the veteran communicate how they can be of service to the employer? Sarah Dunkley says she really just wants to know if her job candidate can really be of service to her company.
For us, it's really important that our candidates know that, when we need you to do something else or we need your help somewhere else, we're gonna draw on your help.
But all of this takes time. Time for the veteran to learn how to re-articulate their skills in a civilian environment, and time for small and medium-sized business owners to evaluate their hiring and orientation processes. And time is something that tends to be in short supply for everyone involved, not to mention that for businesses and hiring managers, time tends to equal money.
But I look at it as one of those things that I can invest a little bit of money up front to do those things, or I can spend a lot of money having the wrong candidate in the wrong role, training them for a very long time. And then they move to another position or they leave the company because it's not a good fit.
Our next episode of Hidden Talent will probe deeper into efficiencies for hiring, training new hires, and how military veterans and small business employers tend to view the concept of timing and time quite differently. Now that you've listened to our show and have a sense of the depth of the challenges and the potential solutions for hidden talent, we invite you to enroll in the masterclass for employer-tested ways to tap into the hidden talent pool of Canada's veterans. Find out more and sign up by visiting centerforcareerinnovation.ca at the link in the show notes. Reach out to the team at Challenge Factory with your thoughts, ideas, and feedback, especially if you're a small business or military veteran. This podcast is produced by Story Studio Network.